I filmed this video twice. This is my third time trying to film this video, so if it seems like I'm at breaking point, it's because I am. Hey guys, my name's Steve, it's the Heroine's Corner, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my April TBR. First, I want to say thank you for 1k subscribers. It happened like at midnight a couple of days ago, and I couldn't scream because it's midnight, but I was just so happy and so appreciative of everyone who's just interacted with my content, like from liking to sharing to just commenting. It means a lot to me to know that I'm not just shouting out in the void, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy my content. I am going to be doing a 1k Q&A, so please leave your questions down below for me. They could be bookish or non-bookish, and I will be selecting a few, having a chill Q&A session, like just a chance for you guys to get to know me more and all that jazz. But I'm very sorry for the traffic. Like, I did film this 2 times when the traffic wasn't bad, but now the traffic's bad and I have to still film this. So today I'm going to be doing my April TBR, and I do not know what I'm reading in April. Like, I do, but at the same time I tried filming this like 2 days ago, prior the 2 attempts I've had today, and I sat in front of the camera and I was like, there's no books that I want to read that like comes to mind. I usually have a specific kind of genre or like area of focus that I want to delve into more, but like this month I just didn't know what I was going to read until really like close to the end of the month. So I do know what I'm going to be reading now. I'm going to be taking part 2 readathons and doing my classics community challenge, of course. So without further ado, let's actually just get into the books. Okay, so the first book I want to talk about in this video is Woman at Point Zero by Nawal al-Saadawi. And Nawal al-Saadawi was a very prominent and well-known feminist and women's advocate. Sadly, she did pass away last month, and the way people were just talking about her, she just seemed like such a bad bitch, to be honest, and just a really intelligent and courageous woman. So I'm very excited to read this book. It was on my classics TBR, and she does have a lot of other books out as well, but this is the book that kind of interested me the most. So in this book we start off with a girl, I think it's a young woman really, who is in prison and she's about to be executed, and in this book we basically follow how she ended up in that point. And I think this is heavy. Apparently I think it has some triggers for rape. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, this book just really interested me, and I do want to read a lot of Nawal al-Saadawi's works, and this is just book number 1 in that task. The second book I want to talk about is Mrs. Death by Selena Godin, and this is a book that was in my Black British 2021 releases, and a lot of people in the comments below were saying how much this book interested them and how much of a interesting premise it was. So I was like, it is very interesting actually. Let me read this book as soon as possible. So I got my hands on it. So in this book we follow the personification of death, and the personification of death is a Black British woman who is working class, and all I know is that she is walking around London collecting stories, telling stories, and that's all I know. But I just really love books, or not even just books, just media that centers around death and like the personifications of death as a person. And I've never read a book where death is like a Black woman who's British. So yeah, this just sounds like an interesting read. A lot of people thought it was gonna be the Women's Prize long list, so they this book must have some type of excellence to it, I'm presuming. This book looks stunning, sounds amazing. I want to try and read it in April. The next book I've got is a historical fiction novel, and that is How Much of These Hills is Gold. You guys don't know how many times I've tripped over this title. I don't know why, but I have. And this is written by C. Pam Zhang, and this is about the gold rush, and that's all I know about it. That, and everyone absolutely adores it. I haven't read anything from this time period. I haven't read anything about the gold rush. So yeah, I'm very upset that I got this cover, because there's that stunning cover and I was actually really trying to track it down and I just couldn't get my hands on it. So I'm like, Okay, stop being superficial. It's about the book inside, so like whatever. But yeah, so this is the book I'm going to be reading in April. Next, we've got an arc that I've showed on my channel quite a bit, I think, and that is Dream Country by Aussie Brown, and this is a YA fantasy. And in this book, we follow triplet gods, the god of sleep, dreams, and nightmares, and all of them are allegedly complicit in their mother's murder. So they're kind of tied and trapped in this kind of realm, but the gates of this realm are like open, so I think something's gonna happen, like plot ensues, I guess. This book actually comes out in the last week of April, or just like really late April, so I want to read it and get my thoughts out before the book actually comes out. Next we got another YA fantasy, and by Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron, and this is about Cinderella. Like in the story, the Cinderella fairy tale is true, and to kind of commemorate that, girls are sent to this ball where they are to be chosen by a suitor, but our main protagonist is actually like lesbian. I think she's lesbian or bisexual. It's like sapphic in some way, and she obviously doesn't want to be picked by a suitor. But if a girl isn't picked by a suitor, I think she's just like destitute or like turned away from society. So yeah, when I picked up this book, this is one of the last books I picked up from a bookstore actually. And when I went to the till, the bookseller was like, this book is absolutely amazing, you should definitely read it. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm buying it. But yeah, a book I want to read in April. I also got a middle grade as well, and that is When Life Gives You Lemons by Karen Gittin, and this is set in Jamaica, and we follow the girl Clara. We follow Clara, and she basically does remember what happened last summer, and that is bugging her. And it isn't until a new girl enters her village, and both of them kind of reveal a family secret. Does she then start to remember what happened last summer? I think this book does deal with some trigger-ish topics. I'm not quite sure what those triggers are. This book was in a recent haul video I did because it was nominated by for the Jaholic Prize longlist for kid fiction basically. So yeah, I do want to get to this because I have seen people really enjoying this book, so why wouldn't I enjoy it? I have a lot of books in my March TBR that I am going to be carrying over into my April TBR because I'm basically in the middle of a lot of different books at the moment, so I don't want to put too many books on my radar because it will just overwhelm me. But I am taking part in 2 different readathons this month as well, and that is the disability readathon, and that is the Aussie April readathon. I'll leave the creators for those readathons here. Yeah, I'll leave the announcement videos down below. You should definitely check them out. But so let me just talk about what books I'm going to be reading for these readathons. I'm not putting too much on my plate, so I basically just picked 2 books from each readathon that I'm hopefully going to get to in April. All of them are on Scribd because I actually got Scribd at the end of March, and I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, all these books for me. I'm going to be using Scribd to its fullest potential in April if I can. So there's probably going to be a lot of books on Scribd that I haven't mentioned here, but I'm going to just be like listening to during April. But let me start off with the disability readathon. So the first book I'm going to be reading for the disability readathon is going to be The Pretty One by Kia Brown, and this is a book, like a collection of essays from Kia herself, I think, and it's just about being Black and disabled in white America. And I'm really interested to read this book. It's been recommended a lot on BookTube, and I feel like this book has a lot of commentary, like good commentary on self-love and just, you know, beauty standards and how she has to kind of cope and manage that, or how she rebels against that essentially. But yeah, I'm very interested to read about her life in this book. So the second book I want to read for the disability readathon is Care Work, Dreaming Disability Justice, and this is by Leah Lakshmi Piyapsama Somarasana. I hope I got that name correct. But so this is basically a book about what society looks like if it's fair and accommodating for disabled people. Again, this book has been highly recommended. I think it's a collection of essays. It's a part memoir as well. But yeah, this just sounds like such an interesting topic to unravel, and I feel like I'm just going to get a lot from this book. For Aussie April, I have 2 books as well that I want to read. One of them is Growing Up Aboriginal in Australia, and this is again a collection of essays answering the question what it means to grow up in Australia as an Aboriginal. I don't know much about the social and political kind of atmosphere in Australia. It's not a country I know a lot about, so I feel like this is going to be a very eye-opening book for me to read. And then secondly, I'm going to be reading Dark Emu by Bruce Pascoe, and Bruce Pascoe is an Aboriginal Australian as well, and he's talking about how historically in Australia Aboriginal people were assumed to be hunter-gatherer kind of communities, when in actuality they had complex and sophisticated agricultural systems. And so basically in this book we're kind of dealing with that kind of history and the racism of why Australians presume like Aboriginal people were hunter-gatherers, and that just sounds very interesting. Yeah, I can't wait to just delve deeper into the historical analysis and perspective of this issue. And again, I feel like it's just going to be a book that I take a lot away from and I learn a lot from, which I always love to do when I'm reading. So that is my April TBR, guys. Please let me know down below if any of these books are on your TBR. If you've read them, tell me what you think of them. If you're taking part in any of the readathons that I've talked about in this video as well, please let me know. And any questions that you have, bookish or non-bookish, for my Q&A. But yeah, that is it for my April TBR. Third time's the charm. Remember to like, subscribe, follow me on my Bookstagram and my Twitter, and I'll see you guys soon in another video. Bye.